Dawn breaks over Edo in 1868, but this is not the Japan we know from our history books. Here, the rising sun illuminates a fascinating historical divergence. Samurai warriors, their authority preserved through a calculated alliance with imperial power, patrol streets where steam engines whistle past ancient temples. This is the story of how a single political decision, Emperor Meiji's choice to maintain rather than dissolve the samurai class, reshapes the very fabric of Japanese society. Our window into this transformed Japan comes through the eyes of Rensuke Kusunoki, a samurai whose ancestral lineage traces back to legendary strategist Masashige Kusunoki. In the early morning hours, we find him in his dojo, demonstrating kata to his students. His movements are a physical manifestation of our alternative timeline, classical sword techniques adapted for a modernizing world. When a student asks him about the meaning of honor in these changing times, his answer reveals the philosophical tension at the heart of our story: to protect the weak no matter the cost. These words, seemingly simple, carry the weight of an entire society in transition. The preservation of samurai authority creates fascinating ripple effects throughout this reimagined Japan. Traditional rice stipends now flow through modern banking houses. Samurai administrators consult Western economic texts while wearing their ancestral swords. The very mechanisms that preserve their power have transformed their role in ways both subtle and profound. Yet beneath this carefully maintained facade, tensions simmer as the weight of tradition collides with the pressures of progress. This delicate balance shatters during a routine tax collection, a moment that crystallizes the contradictions of this alternative Japan. When Rensuke witnesses fellow samurai brutally punishing peasants for failing to meet new economic demands, he intervenes. This act of conscience earns him a sharp reprimand from his superiors. But more importantly, it forces him to confront an uncomfortable truth. In preserving their power, have the samurai betrayed their fundamental purpose as protectors of the people? As Rensuke grapples with this moral crisis, his path leads him to discover something unexpected: a sophisticated resistance movement operating within the very power structures it seeks to reform. Traditional merchant houses have become intelligence networks. Official inspections provide cover for gathering evidence, and ancient codes encrypt modern banking records. This is not the direct rebellion we might expect from our historical knowledge of samurai resistance, but something far more nuanced: a campaign to transform the system from within. Each victory in this shadow campaign brings its own complications. A successful exposure of a corrupt regional magistrate creates a moment of triumph, but their success makes them visible to a system that has grown more sophisticated in its methods of control. The same networks of authority that enable resistance become tools of surveillance and repression. As imperial forces begin their crackdown, Rensuke must confront the price of wielding legitimate power against the very system that grants it. This tension builds to a remarkable climax in the imperial court itself, where Rensuke uses his preserved authority for one final act of resistance. His evidence of systemic corruption becomes a modern sword, cutting through layers of institutionalized exploitation. His words echo through halls usually reserved for ceremony. "We preserved our swords but surrendered our honor. True Bushido demands we protect the people, not profit from their suffering." As cherry blossoms fall on Rensuke's grave, we see a Japan forever changed, not by the complete dissolution of its warrior class, but by their evolution. This alternative history invites us to consider a profound question: how do societies navigate the delicate balance between preserving tradition and embracing progress? Our exploration of this fascinating historical divergence reveals a crucial truth about societal transformation. The most significant changes often stem not from complete revolution, but from the thoughtful adaptation of existing power structures. Rensuke's story demonstrates how individual moral choices, when strategically applied within preserved systems of authority, can catalyze profound institutional change. Consider how this alternative timeline might inform our understanding of modern societal transitions. What traditional structures in our own time might be transformed rather than discarded? How might preservation of authority, properly guided, enable rather than prevent meaningful reform? Share your thoughts in the comments below about other potential divergence points in Japanese history. How might different choices have transformed other societies facing similar challenges? Subscribe to Quantum Trails for more deep dives into fascinating historical what-ifs, where we explore how single decisions ripple through time, reshaping societies in unexpected ways. Until our next historical journey, I'm your guide through the quantum trails of time, reminding you that the greatest test of traditional values is not whether they can resist change, but whether they can guide it toward justice.